Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. In this one I will tell you about the symbolism and meaning of the Ace of Swords in the Thoth deck. As usual, I will start with the description of the card and then we will dive deeper into the symbolism of all of the elements that we can see here. I will list the meanings of this card in Divination at the very end of the video, so the timestamp for when I start talking about that is shown below now, so you can jump there if you want. Just by looking at this card, we can see how powerful it is. We can see the clouds parting to reveal a brilliant sunrise over water, and we can see this beautiful sword with a mysterious inscription on the blade. The tip of the sword is inside a crown with many silver and gold rays. We get the sense of space, of clarity and openness with this card. There aren't that many elements in this card to be discussed, but we will have to go quite deep into the symbolism to understand this card fully. So before we dive in, let's hear what Crowley says about this card in the Book of Thoth. The Ace of Swords is the primordial energy of air, the essence of the vow of Tetragrammaton, the integration of the Ruach. Air is the result of the conjunction of fire and water, thus it lacks the purity of its superiors in the male hierarchy, fire, soul, and the phallus. But for this same reason, it is the first card directly to be apprehended by mankind. What Crowley is talking about here is the connection of the Ace of Swords with the third world of Kabbalah, the formative world of Yetzirah. This world is associated with the third letter of Tetragrammaton, vow. Ruach means Holy Spirit, but it also means breath or wind, so we can see how it also references this invisible moving force of divine origin. And this is the essence and the power of the element of air. It comes from joining fire and water, so it comes from the creation of steam. And although we can see that it's a secondary element, less pure than the first two that created it, the element of air is easier for us to understand, and it's easier for us to wield its power. Now let's see what else can Crowley tell us about its nature. It lacks the concentrated will of fire to unite with water. It has no corresponding passion for its twin element, earth. There is indeed a notable passivity in its nature. Evidently, it has no self-generated impulse. But, set in motion by its father and mother, its power is manifestly terrific. It visibly attacks its objective, as they, being of subtler and more tenuous character, can never do. Its all-embracing, all-wandering, all-penetrating, all-consuming qualities have been described by many admirable writers. So we see here that although air is very powerful, it needs to be set in motion by fire and water. Without an impulse from them, it cannot really accomplish anything. And if we realize that the element of air is connected with our thoughts, we can understand this even better. So our thoughts alone cannot really accomplish anything, they are quite passive. But if we have an idea, we have some inspiration, so the element of fire, together with emotional engagement in what we are trying to achieve, so this is the element of water, and then our thoughts, the element of air, can be very powerful in helping us to reach this goal. And of course, we also need to do something practically to create something in matter, and this is where the element of earth comes in to complete this whole process. Now let's hear another quote that will lead us into discussing the symbolic meaning of the elements that we can see in the card. The card represents the sword of the Magus, crowned with 22-rayed diadem of pure light. The number refers to the Atu, also 22 equals 2 times 11, the magical manifestation of Chokmah, wisdom, and Logos. Upon the blade, accordingly, is inscribed the word of the law, Thelema. This word sends forth a blaze of light, dispersing the dark clouds of the mind. So we know now that the sword belongs to the Magus, and this is the same sword that we can see in the adjustment card, where one of the meanings tells us about this beautiful balance of following our true will in life. So just as the woman balances on tiptoes, holding the sword in the center of her gravity, it's also our task to balance our will with our life in this way. And this is a ceremonial sword. It's used in ritual by the Magus to focus his will. And so this is also what Thelema means. This is the word that Crowley's philosophy takes its name from. And in Greek, Thelema means will. We have 3 round parts on the hilt of the sword, 2 on either side of the guard, and 1 on the pommel. The grip of the sword looks like a snake is wrapped around it, and this shows us that the sword has power of transformation. The guard is formed out of 2 crescent moons, and the sword is green, which would point us in the direction of lunar and Venusian energy, because the 7th Sephira of Netzach is associated with planet Venus and color green. And this all makes us think why such a masculine phallic symbol, a sword, would be associated with feminine energy. And Crowley has an answer for us that will also explain the 3 round objects adorning the hilt. The Ruach is centered in the airy Sephira, Tiferet, who is the Son, the firstborn of the Father, and the Son, the first emanation of the creative phallus. He derives directly from his mother Binah through the path of Zain, the sublime intuitive sense, so that he partakes absolutely in the nature of Neshama. From his father Chokmah, he is informed through the path of Hay, the Great Mother, the Star, Our Lady Nuit, so that the creative impulse is communicated to him by all possibilities soever. Finally, from Keter, the Supreme, descends directly upon him through the path of Gimel, the High Priestess, the Trion of Initiation. The 3-in-1, the secret mother in her polymorphous plenitude, these alone, hail him thrice blessed of the supernals. To understand why Crowley is talking here about Tiferet, we need to see how the world we are in, Yetzirah, the formative world, connects with the creative world, Bria. And we can see here that Keter of the world we are in now is connected with Tiferet of the world that comes before it. So we will see symbolic references to the energy of the 6 of Cups in this card, because the Sephirot that these 2 cards are connected with are also connected with each other. And we can even say that it's the Tiferet of Bria that creates Keter of Yetzirah. And this links to what I already told you about the element of air being created out of the combination of fire and water. And this is exactly what was shown in the 6 of Cups, where the fiery energy of the sun was warming the element of water, and through the transformative power of Scorpio, a sacred ritual could be performed. So we can see now what is the result of such a union. It looks like the sword here makes the clouds part to reveal the sunrise over water. And this is a symbolic representation of this very union of sun and the element of water. So we can see that above the sun, some structures are starting to form, so a new idea is taking shape here. The 3 round ornaments on the hilt of the sword of the Magus show the 3 Sephirot of the supernal triangle. And we have 2 sets of 3 marks in the middle of the blade. 6 is the number of Tiferet, and there are 3 Sephirot and 3 paths on the Tree of Life that create the power of this sword. And through these paths, we can see where all of this feminine energy is coming from. So first, we have the path of Zain, the lover's card that brings the energy of Bina, the sea of all potential, the mother. And the energy can only come down through the abyss by dividing itself. So duality needs to begin to create life and death, good and evil, and of course, soul and body. Neshama means soul in Hebrew, and it's linked to the idea that our soul comes from the breath of God. So the first of the three feminine energies comes from Bina, the mother. The second one comes from the path that leads from the father, Chokmah, and this is the path of the star that Crowley relates to Nuit, the goddess of the sky. The third part of the feminine energy comes through the path of the priestess, and this path links Tiferet to Keter. And this is where we get the two crescent moons from. The card of priestess is linked to the energy of the moon. So this triple feminine energy initiates and blesses Tiferet, and in turn also our Ace of Swords, and of course the sword of the Magus that is shown in the card. The diadem of light has 22 rays, which Crowley explains as relating to a major arcana card. There is no card 22 in major arcana because the Fool, as the first card, has number 0. 22 therefore relates to the combination of the first and last major arcana cards, so the Fool and the universe. Crowley says in the Book of Thoth that the two cards together, accordingly, spell the word Ath, which means essence. All reality is consequently compromised in the series of which these two letters form the beginning and the end. The universe shows us a complete system, an accomplishment of everything that we set out to do. So together with the Fool, who has all potential already within him, but needs to make the journey to realize just that, the two cards show us basically everything there is and everything there ever could be. The diadem has 11 silver and 11 gold rays, showing us once again the perfect harmony of feminine and masculine energies together. These are the colors of our two luminaries, the silver of the moon and gold of the sun. Chokmah, meaning wisdom, is the second sephira on the Tree of Life, and this is pure will traveling through space. Its magical manifestation, that was mentioned in the quote, is again connected with the 11th card of Major Arcana, so this is lust. This card, as we know, shows Babylon, a very important deity in Thelema. And it is Babylon who can initiate someone to become the Magus. So we have a reinforcement of the idea here that it's the feminine energy that blesses, initiates, and enables access to the fullest potential and power. There are 4 triangles just at the beginning of the blade, and these relate to the 4th Sephira Hesed, associated with Jupiter and color blue. This is showing us that the sword, symbolizing our concentrated will, can establish some divine order. It can start some structures that we can build on. It can enable us to create and accomplish things. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about how to interpret this card in divination. The Ace of Swords shows the power of our intellect, our thoughts and logic. Ace of Swords is a new idea. It's an immense power that can be used for good or evil, because it is the power that can be used by humans. And this is the power of our will, our impulse for new action. And this card is also associated with the legal system, social justice, and human rights. It shows a breakthrough, a new perspective, and seeing things with new clarity. Ace of Swords can be showing the fact of signing a legal document. So, for example, it can be showing getting a new job. Sometimes this card comes up in a reading to say that a given situation will be resolved in a just way. Sometimes it shows that matters will become clear to you and you will get a new understanding of what is really going on. It can also show you a new opportunity. If this card shows up in your reading as a device, it will be inviting you to focus your will on your new idea. So you need to see things clearly and use your power to follow what you want to accomplish. And in this situation, use cool logic and do not be afraid to cut off what no longer serves your purpose in life. As an obstacle, the Ace of Swords will be telling you that you are not following your will strongly enough. The situation you're in might be lacking clarity. And sometimes it can also show problems with the law or not having the correct legal requirements in place to achieve something. So, for example, it can show that there is a lack of legal agreement that would ensure your rights in the situation that you're in. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like the video and, of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would like to thank everyone who is already supporting the channel. I appreciate your help very much. And if you want to start supporting the channel, please consider a one-time PayPal donation, or you can become my patron for just €3 per month. So it's a bit like getting me a cup of coffee to say thanks every month. If you consider how much you could be paying for a course on tarot, this is really a good value option. Every little bit of your support and every donation is great help, and it's greatly appreciated. All links are in the video description below. Once again, thank you so much for today, and I will see you in the next video about the Two of Swords very soon. Thank you so much. Bye!